All right. It is 6:01, which means it's time to kick off the third annual Circular Showcase, Circular Austin Showcase. So round of applause for our competitors tonight, and send them good luck, energy through the air. All right, well, my name is Maddie Morgan, and I have the privilege to supervise our Circular Economy Program, which is a partnership between Austin Resource Recovery and the Economic Development Department. And as I mentioned, this is the third year that we're hosting the Circular Austin Showcase, and we're really excited for y'all to hear these great businesses tonight. If you are here tonight and you are not sure what circular economy means, or maybe you've heard it but just kind of nodded your head when someone said it to you, kind of a quick definition is that, and actually, I think I have maybe a slide, but it's okay. Dinah, there we go. So we like to compare it to a linear economy, which is what we operate in now, this sort of make, take, and waste society. And, you know, we start to get some recycling integrated in there, but there's a lot of leakage that comes out of that system and ends up being waste. And so a circular economy is one where we're using materials at their highest and best use for as long as possible, basically keeping all goods and materials in circulation. And that can be done in a number of different ways. And you're going to see that from the businesses tonight, who each of these 8 businesses have circular principles integrated into their business model. So you'll see things like waste as a resource, which our 2 reverse pitch innovation fellows will be have a business model that presents that. And they came out of an earlier program in the year where they're using a local business's waste, and they've come up with a business model that they'll be pitching tonight. We also have things like products as a service. So maybe you don't need to own an item and you can rent it. And then we have companies that are trying to capture hard to recycle materials, so things that are leaking out of our system and potentially toxic to the environment, and kind of have an assortment of in between. So like I mentioned, we have our I don't know what's happening. If that's me or you're right. Okay. All right, well, we have the heartening and pyrocycling tonight that are coming out of our reverse pitch competition, which I mentioned. And then we have these 6 other applicants or competitors tonight. And each of these 6 competitors, back up. The Reverse Pitch Innovation Fellows, as part of their prize of winning the reverse pitch competition, had automatic entry in tonight's competition after going through a mini accelerator over the summer. And then we have our other 6 showcase applicants who went through a competitive process. And we had over 16 applications this year, which is the most we've ever had. So it was competitive to get in here, and we're really glad to have them all tonight. So we have Frontier Resource Recovery, Wanderlust, Dispose, Sleep Never, The Conscious Pet, and Diaper Kind. And your MC for tonight is, I think that's the next slide, is Tara Levy, who is with the Austin Young Chamber, and she is serving as the interim executive director, and she's gonna get y'all through the rest of the night. So big round of applause to Tara and the Austin Young Chamber.
A lot of things to hold on to here. Thank you, Maddie, and thank you to the Austin Resource Recovery, the Economic Development at the City of Austin for making tonight possible. I am so grateful, mostly though, to all of you for coming here this evening to support the businesses that we have pitching and the entire concept of the circular economy, which is really what makes everything go round and where we have so much potential. I want to also thank our host, the Cathedral, for allowing us to use this beautiful space. If you didn't know, this actually, during the day, is a co-working space in addition to being an event space in the evening. It was a Baptist church from 1938 to 2017. And the cathedral team that is here today started renovating it in the spring of 2019. And they did such incredible, beautiful work to restore and preserve the historical integrity of the space. And I think that when we were really looking for where to be able to showcase creative ideas that looked at reusing and preservation and being true to things that have come before us, this felt like something that really drew us here and to something that would be a special place to be able to have an event like this, really being able to both look at something that is simultaneously preserving and transforming something to be able to be enjoyed today in a different way than it was originally intended. So we're really grateful for all of you to be seeing this beautiful space with us this evening. So thank you to the Cathedral for being our host today. As Maddie said, I am the interim executive director of the Austin Young Chamber. The Austin Young Chamber is a nonprofit that engages and supports young professionals here in Austin, and we do this in a variety of ways. But one of the things that we are most excited about is that we support creative problem solvers. And these creative problem solvers who are committed to making Austin and the world better, like the entrepreneurs that are here tonight are doing. And so this is really important to us, and we're excited to have the opportunity to connect with all of you this evening through the chamber as well. And I'm also excited to be able to showcase the 6 stunning judges that we have joining us this evening. I'm going to introduce you to these amazing, brilliant people who bring to us a wealth and depth of experience connected to the environment, science, business, the economy, reuse, and how to actually keep things going in different ways. And so each of them have different types of insights and different pieces of the puzzle that they bring, that each touch parts of the circular economy and the different types of things that our contestants are doing, that we're excited to be able to have subject matter expertise in so many different areas. So first I'd like to recognize Adrienne Lognecker, who is the executive director of the Colorado River Alliance. She's been in the environmental world forever, a nonprofit leader and a community leader, and has also been in the business and marketing development world and really understands how to do messaging, marketing, impact, and really transform ideas into impact. And so we are so grateful to have her here this evening. We're going alphabetical by first name, in case you're wondering how I'm going to be jumping around here tonight. So we have Clarissa Simmons here this evening, who just took a big gulp of water as I managed to call her name as well. She's in the educational tech space during the day, but also the thing that makes her such an incredible resource for us this evening is that in addition to that stuff that she does all day where she's building in technology, she also is the founder of Make It Rosie, which is using all types of recycled materials and upcycling them into a collaborative co-working space for artists and people who are not artists, people like every single one of us to come in and make things, create things, and make things that have been discarded into things that can make our lives beautiful. And so we're grateful to have her expertise here this evening as well. So Brandy Clark Burton is the person that when you want to know anything about the environment in Austin, you call Brandy. She is the founder and chief inspiration officer at the Austin Common and Eco Networking. She truly is my one-stop shop for environmental questions on anything. She also is the person that carpooled half the judges here this evening in her electric car and will be my ride home. And anything that you want to do to learn how to get involved in making this city and community and the world a better, cleaner, healthier place, Brandy is your touchstone. And so able to bring her expertise on the environment to the questions that we're going to have with the competition this evening is going to be just one of the greatest gifts ever. Erica Haskins is someone that's new to me this evening, and I'm so excited to get to know her. She is involved in the startup world, and that is one of these things that is like, it's just, oh my God, right? Like even just looking at her, we're laughing already. But the startup world is a special place. And she knows how to ask the right questions of people to figure out what has potential and where the real possibilities are. And the gift that she brings to that world and what she's going to bring this evening to the competition is something that I just cannot get enough of. And so very grateful. I've been excited since the moment I saw her bio, and then to just get to know her this evening is a real treat. So we're thankful to have her here. Julie Burwald is one of the most amazing and insightful science writers. You might have read Spineless, which is her book, and On the Rocks? Life on the Rocks. And she is a scientist who can make jellyfish feel like they should be your best friends and give you a hug. And her books have a way of just making science real, and that ability to really understand the science behind how things work and the ability to understand the way that the world really works and what goes into the production piece of it is something that we're excited also to bring to the production piece this evening and be able to have good conversations with our panelists. And again, we're alphabetical, but it's bizarre that the person I'm going to end with is Skyra Rideau, because she is someone that actually founded this entire competition when she worked at the city. So she is now an entrepreneur in her own right, and we are beyond grateful to have someone that understands every single bit of what this program should be and what it just dreamt to be to be able to talk to the people this evening as you all pitch your ideas to have someone that was part of the initial visioning and creation of what this is. So I am so grateful to all these judges. So we're going to really focus on our competitors this evening, but I want you all to just join me in thanking the judges for their volunteering tonight. So here's what's going to happen tonight. We have 8 different companies pitching that you got to hear about a little bit. Each company becomes a contestant tonight. Each contestant is going to have 4 minutes to pitch, followed by 4 minutes of Q&A from the judges. I'm going to call up the contestants, and then I will announce when it's time for the Q&A to begin. We are grateful to have our board treasurer, who's very good with numbers, doing the timekeeping this evening. So we are really good with accountability. And so she is right there, and she'll be helping us to keep time. Due to the limited time that we have and the fact that we do have these 8 spectacular teams, we're not going to do audience Q&A tonight. But that's just the logistics of things. We hope that you will stick around as we're schmoozing afterwards and ask everyone lots and lots of questions, though. The judges all have a rubric that they are judging the contestants by, and the contestants all have obviously seen this rubric, but involves the overall impact and connection to the circular economy, viability, economic development, and fundability, and criteria that they are using in those areas. And so after each contestant is gone, the judges will be writing their scores in, and then once all the contestants have gone, we'll be tallying all the scores together and announcing the winners. We do have all kinds of plans in place for if there are ties and how numbers work and things like that, but we are excited that this evening, of the 8 contestants, we are going to give one a check for $12,000. And we do have the Sharpie with us here tonight, so we can fill this out. And then we're going to have one runner-up this evening that will also earn a $1,000 prize. So that is the plan for the evening. We are so excited. We are thrilled that you are here. And without further ado, I would like to ask our first contestant to come up. So Frontier Resource Recovery, it's going to be pitched by Cole Mitchell and Logan Welch. And gentlemen, here's your mic.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if we'll be able to give this another try or not. I'm not sure yet.
We won't count this on your time.
Cole will do the visuals with his hands.
Here, we'll take a moment to take a picture, guys.
Oh, sure.
Take a picture for your mom.
It was working just a couple of minutes ago. We'll make sure that she gets credit for that. Yes, yes.
Do y'all know any jokes?
I do not. None that y'all would want to hear. Are there any comedians in the house? Is this on the rubric?
We are live streaming, so.
Tested how you function under pressure.
I'm under evaluation right now.
Anyone have any announcements of really cool environmental things to share?
All right, we're good to get started. So we're going to go ahead and get us kicked off now. Howdy, everyone. My name is Logan. This is Cole, and we are Frontier Resource Recovery. We are on a mission to bridge the worlds of carbon sequestration and agriculture by developing projects which are focused on upcycling organic waste and keeping resources in circulation as long as we can. We've identified a lot of projects across Austin and across Texas that we'd love to develop in the future, but this presentation focuses on our first one, which is actually going to be up in the Texas Panhandle for reasons that Cole will get into later. But let's dive into the root of why we're here. Farmers need carbon solutions. It's no surprise that the agriculture industry produces a lot of CO2 emissions. In fact, it represents 11% of US emissions every year. But what is a surprise to a lot of people is that the world's soils actually contain 3 times as much carbon as what's in the atmosphere right now, which means that this is a perfect bottleneck opportunity for us to take a realm and apply some creative solutions that can really have a huge impact on not only reducing, but also recapturing emissions. But there's another big problem that we're here to talk about, which is the fact that farmers need soil solutions. Soil health across the US is declining right now and causing all sorts of issues like a decreased resilience against droughts, over-reliance on costly fertilizers, and these problems are adding up for farmers and creating outcomes like the fact that over 50% of the fertilizer that we put on our crops doesn't even get used by the crops. The soil is so unhealthy that it can't hold it, and it will just wash away and wash into our waterways and contaminate them. So what if I told you that there was a way to not only solve this soil problem, but also have a carbon solution, and we did it from waste? Well, that's exactly why we're here today. We sequester carbon from waste in the form of cow manure, and we use that carbon to restore soil health for farmers. So we're taking something that is a complete nuisance and contaminant for the environment that nobody uses, and we're turning it into something that's actually useful to put back into the ground and not only remediate the climate, but also the profitability for farmers. And it's actually found in this material that Cole just passed around right now. It is called biochar. So we made this biochar from cow manure. It's a material that was first used over 2,000 years ago in the Amazon, and it's got some unique properties, including a sponge-like carbon structure and some rich nutrient values that help make it a prime soil amendment for farmers to use. And we can get more into the science, but I'll go ahead and pass it off to Cole right now so he can talk about the process.
Alrighty. So our process works more specifically. So like Logan said, we can take any kind of organic waste, whether it's spent grains, poultry litter, in this case, cow manure from a feed yard in Northwest Texas, process it on-site through pyrolysis, and then convert it to biochar. Once the biochar is produced, it generates something called a carbon offset retirement credit, which is a main important in making sure these projects are viable because it allows some funding not local to the economy to come in and make these projects viable. Then once the biochar is produced, we mix it with local compost and apply it on fields. Once the biochar is in the ground is when it starts to do its magic. it starts to increase the organic matter of the soil, which has a direct correlation on the soil's ability to hold water, which is important for this reason. So we're targeting an area up here in Northwest Texas that is kind of the bedrock of the Ogallala Aquifer. It's one of the main aquifers in the central United States that feeds many of our major rivers, including the Colorado River, which flows through downtown Austin. So by capturing and saving water up here in Northwest Texas, we're able to influence the availability and reducing the scarcity of water all throughout the state. This is what you guys can help us with today. We've raised a couple $100,000 and are on our way to our first project. We've secured the supply, the technology, and the permits. Our last step is securing the offtake. And so with this final test with our engineering vendor in Iowa, we can ensure that this project meets all the standards for our investors to receive the final go-ahead for project finance. So that's what we're working on. Thank you guys so much for a chance to pitch today. We're open for questions.
I'm curious if you talk to ranchers and farmers and to see how interested they are in buying your product.
Yes, so we've actually had multiple LOIs already in place with our farmers and ranchers up in the area to purchase the product and also do projects on site with them.
How are you fueling the pyrolysis process? That uses a lot of energy, and I'm curious how you can do that and still accomplish an offset.
So it's an exothermic process. It actually produces energy once it gets going. So we use a small amount of diesel to get the reactor going at the start. And once it's going, as long as we continue to feed it a feedstock, we don't need to produce any extra energy for it to run.
And in fact, the certification process for the removals will actually incorporate anything like that in terms of valuing those carbon credits and those offsets.
I had a similar question, energy costs and transportation. How does that feed into the carbon offsets?
So thankfully, the transportation only has to go a couple hundred yards, so we do this on site. And so it's an 85,000 head feed yard. That's 85,000 head of cattle. And so they're producing close to 300 tons of manure in a single day. So we really have just a loader pick it up, move it from one pen to a pile, and it gets processed right there on site. So there's very little transportation involved. In fact, the entire material doesn't go further than 8 miles from its origination point. Just used locally, yes, ma'am.
So I think I'm going to ask more of a process question. How does it actually restore the soil health? And how do you use food waste? Because I saw it there was so much content. I have like 10,000 questions, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But that one, like, how do you actually use it to restore soil health?
You want to hit on this one?
Sure. So you can kind of think about it in 3 different realms. There's the kind of biological side of things, the chemical side, and the physical side. From a biological sense, the sponge-like structure of the carbon serves as kind of a condominium for healthy bacteria to thrive. And if you think about it from a chemical sense, the actual biochar as a molecule itself has a negative outer charge, which actually helps retain when you put down fertilizer, it's going to help retain it into the soil so that it doesn't wash away. And then from more of the structural sense, having a material in there that is like a sponge allows there to be more porous areas for water to infiltrate into. And so there's lots of different ways that sort of the soil science side of things can be impacted, but there's tons of research out there on sort of the many different factors. But we're actually partnering with West Texas A&M University up there near the Texas Panhandle to run trial plots here in the next couple months to be able to measure directly and to a very finite amount the type of impacting that we're having on all sorts of different qualities.
1 minute left. Question for each table?
I have a money question.
Yeah.
So what's the total project financing cost? And then what do you see as the opportunity 1, 3, 5 years? Like, how does it scale?
So our project will process 40 tons of material a day. It'll cost $2.2 million. And then Logan, you want to talk about the actual money side of things?
Yeah, sure. So this first project's aim is about getting our biochar out to market in the first place, because we are going to be the first ones to bring this material to this region of Texas. And so our goal is to kind of lean into that in a heavy amount and work with that sort of scale that we can get by having a $2.2 million capex at the start. But as far as future projects, we can duplicate those all over the Texas Panhandle. If you were to take a look at the United States as an opportunity for turning manure that just sits there and no one does anything with it, it just emits greenhouse gases everywhere. If you were to look at the opportunities to sequester all of the carbon from that, you're looking at over a $9 billion opportunity to create change in that realm.
I've heard great things about biochar. Are you modeling this on a successful business that has done this in another region, since you're specifically targeting this geography?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The only other major biochar company in the United States is actually on the West Coast. They just work in California, and their entire focus is on the very high-level consumers of biochar. So think about people who have very expensive agricultural operations like organic growers and vineyards. But in reality, those groups represent less than 5% of total U.S. farming acreage. Our goal with our business is to strategically target the 95% for which currently this material is completely inaccessible economically, which is why we're the first ones to develop these products in a decentralized manner, make it in their backyard, minimize transportation, so that we can get that biochar into the ground.
Thank you so much, Logan Cole and Frontier Resource Recovery. Up next, we have Wanderlust Wine Company, pitched by Sammy Lamb, and we'll see how we do with the clicker. Oh, and he has examples too. Oh my goodness. This bringing wine.
They're empty.
Oh man.
Sorry, the jitters got to me, so I may have taken a sip. Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sammy, the owner and founder of Wanderlust Wine Company, and I want to start off by saying thank you to all of you for being present here and listening to all these great businesses that are tapping into the circular economy, targeting Austin, and of course being a part of the Zero Waste Initiative. I'm excited to introduce a fun new concept. A few folks that are familiar with Wanderlust Wine Company, we're the world's largest wine on tap winery, 3 current locations here in Austin, Texas. And a little bit about my background. I started in the wine industry about a decade ago and currently pursuing a Master of Wine in efforts to change the world through wine, through my passion, which is wine. I've said that a few times. So during my master's program, I was focused on how I could make a change in the world, and I started focusing on alternative and innovative packaging, and I came across kegs for wine. It was during that time that I said, I want to go all in on this and bring it to Austin, a thriving city that is willing to accept pioneering change. And I'm proud to say that after being in the industry now for 4 years, with 3 locations with an average of 24 to 80 wines on tap from around the world, we've been able to avoid upwards of 500,000 bottles of wine from going into the landfill. So working in the wine industry for the past decade, typically I'm working with glass bottles in the industry and trade, and I came to realize glass bottles are wasteful, they're inefficient at times, and of course they could spoil your final beloved wine, which is not a fun thing. So I decided once again to tap into this, but even with all of this great things that we're doing and tapping into the circular economy aspect, because in focus right now we're talking about stainless steel kegs that have the ability to be reused for about 30 years, as long as they're still of sound shape and quality. We're still limited by the boundaries of our tasting rooms. So this next step is, how do we get into the retail market? How do we approach customers outside of our 4 walls? And judges, in front of you, you have our new concept, which in itself is not a revolutionary new product or anything. It's actually an enhancement of what we already have in operations. It is a growler program extension. What you have in front of you is a 750 milliliter container that essentially will start in our tasting rooms and will allow guests to take home with them a piece of Wanderlust, but hopefully we'll have that retail value, that scalability, where once we get into the retail aspect, people buy it for that one-time investment, and they can return to our tasting rooms and be able to refill that at a discounted price. So we're able to encourage other folks to tap into, no pun intended, the world of sustainability, of circular economy, by getting a discount in their consumer behavior. So right here are some prototypes. What you have in front of you have we've slapped some stickers just to see how we can, of course, keep legal and be able to personalize as they refill these containers. And the reason why we're here today at the Circular Showcase is to, one, say thank you to all of you for supporting us since day one. We're a small minority-owned business that now is looking to make a bigger impact outside of our tasting rooms. And with the $12,000 if we were to be awarded today, we would be able to secure our 50% of what it would cost to get these into production as soon as possible and get them in before the end of the year, which of course it's holiday season, and who wouldn't want to give something the gift that keeps on giving. And so I'm here to answer any questions, and thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for your pitch. You may have said this and I missed it, but can you remind me the location of your 3 tasting rooms?
Absolutely. So we have 3 in Austin, 1 here in Goval, so Shady Lane and 7th, 1 on downtown 6th Street and I-35, and 1 right off of Barton Springs, which has a fun little wine cave speakeasy. But now I told you, so I guess it's not a speakeasy. So the idea was to develop these tasting rooms to be able to also be a part of our community. The reason why we've been successful is our integration within our local community and the ability to support other great initiatives such as businesses here. Part of the reason why we're here as well is to network and see how we can collaborate and we grow as we go together. And so helping foster other great initiatives. Eastside, as you mentioned, the locations, Eastside right now is leading one of what Austin Monthly has claimed to be the best sustainability events in partnership with Swapin. It's a clothing-oriented, sustainable, fun event that I encourage you guys to look into.
Can you say more about the jobs that you're creating and the types of jobs, wages and who you're hiring and what your goals are for growth?
Absolutely. So I'll start off by saying I've got my family in the back, and I wouldn't be here without them. It's truly a family-driven concept, and we work around the clock. We work in the category of hospitality and food and beverage, so of course it hasn't been easy with the ups and downs of post-COVID world and staff shortages. Nonetheless, one of the main things that we became additionally known for was the first self-pour concept in Texas. I helped legalize. I was kind of the vessel of why that became to be a thing, and so now the self-pour component has allowed us to manage efficiently with shorter staffs during these volatile times where market can ebb and flow. But right now we're a small but mighty 15 employee strong company, and through this, I mean, we're definitely going to start small, realistically, as we will personally hand fill these. But as we grow into the retail sector, we're going to start increasing our number of employment, especially focusing on, I mean, we're a small minority business. We want to encourage that. We want to show representation in a category that's typically and traditionally not represented by Hispanics or Latinos on the leadership end. So we want to encourage that, BIPOC, Hispanic, Latino. But of course, it's wine, so anyone and everyone's welcome.
My question was on the distribution front. So what do you currently have any plans to distribute in retail stores, or is it going to be at your?
That's a great question. So once again, small but mighty team, and with no investors, so I started this from scratch, and there's our mother, or my mother passed away. I say our mother because my sister's here, and I was able to use a little bit of those life savings to reinvest or invest it and turn it into a business model that, it's we've gone through tough times, but not been able to get investors at this point to make it a big scale system. So nonetheless, we self-distribute, and we've been able to start partnering with local entities such as the Long Center, which is a performing arts place, to help their sustainability efforts from the keg format. But they're interested in this as well because they're able to offer, quote unquote, a bottle service, but something that can be reusable for their members. So almost a carafe program, if you will. We're working out the details. But we self-distribute at the moment. Our products are vegan, made with organic grapes from biodynamic vineyards, contain low sulfites. Of course, we're pouring it directly from our taps, so we're just going to sparge it with a little bit of CO2, and then that way they can be freshly enjoyed. But as we grow, we are working closely with Serendipity, who's focused on small producers, vegan, biodynamic, organic producers as well.
I think I have the last question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a two-parter that's totally unrelated.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
So my first one is, from a production standpoint, what is the material of these made out of? And then my second question that's totally unrelated is, have you done any type of customer feedback? Like, how do you know that the customers are actually going to come back
Absolutely.
and refill these?
Okay, I got 50 seconds. So it's made out of stainless steel, which is what we're very comfortable using already with our stainless steel keg program. And yes, we've shown it to a few customers because they're our growler customers already, and they're like, wow, that looks like an oil can. But they're like, hey, that's fun because it's collectible. And as you see here, there's gonna be different colors, it's playful, and it'll speak out on a shelf. So as long as it has fresh wine, quality wine, they're excited about it. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sammy, and thank you, Wanderlust Wine Company. Woo! All right. Up next, we have Dispose, which is pitched by Luke Tanner and Anish Roy.
First and foremost, thank you for having us. Thank you for everybody coming. We're really looking forward to pitching to you guys. Our company is called Dispose, and we are developing infrastructure for lithium-ion battery recovery.
So let's talk about the electrification of the economy at hand right now. We see lithium-ion batteries in everything from EV cars to gridless homes, and they're becoming prevalent in every industry in the future. Demand for these batteries is growing by 27% throughout 2030, but each of these batteries use non-renewable resources. This creates a pain in the industry. For every ton of lithium mined, 500,000 gallons of water is used, and over 15 tons of CO2 are released. Also, 95% of lithium-ion batteries are currently being sent to landfill, where fires cost waste management operators over $1 billion annually. Right now, there's really no easy way for consumers to dispose of these devices responsibly.
And we're not the only ones that have noticed this issue. There are some companies that have been founded in the past 5 years who've amassed billions of dollars in investment for developing infrastructure for EV recycling. However, EVs aren't ready to be recycled. It's going to be another 5 to 10 years before the fleet is ready to reach its end of life, which is why we are focusing on our niche, the ENDS device, or a disposable e-cigarette. These products are a dominant player in today's tobacco industry, with over 6 million of them thrown away every week in the United States. That translates to 20,000 a week just in Austin, and a $22.4 billion market growing at 30% every year. So these products aren't going away. They contain a valuable lithium-ion battery cell, and the reason for this growth is largely due to their exemption from bans on pod systems in 2020.
So what our solution right now is creating a full supply chain of collection, transportation, disassembly, and reuse. With a collection, we partner with local Austin retailers and events like music festivals and nightlife to collect all these devices, transport them to a central facility where we disassemble and safely extract the battery, and then use the repurposed battery to sell to electronic vehicle companies, electronics manufacturers, or battery recyclers altogether. So looking at our first prototype, we wanted it to be something that was fire resistant and tamper proof, while also having sorting capabilities to lower our work on the central facility side. However, looking at the cost to produce all of these, we decided on a lower cost-effective strategy to collect these. And our next generation will have all the capabilities of our first with the cost efficacy of the next.
So we've done some investigations with local businesses. There are some companies that are definitely inclined and have tried before to recycle these products, but they've given up due to the cost of service. The one pilot program that we've worked with the most is a company called the Glassmith in the West Campus area of Austin. And they're currently offering a $1 take-back program for store credit, which is incentivizing consumers to come back to their store, which is generating value for the company, as well as generating value for the customer. So I want to talk about a little bit of the regulations that we're hoping to take advantage of. Battery cell production and material production, it qualifies for Inflation Reduction Act tax credits, as well as I'm sure you've heard of the $7,500 tax credit for new EV purchases. And that's only, you can only qualify for that credit when 40% or more of your battery materials are sourced domestically. That 40% is going to 50%, all the way up to 80% in coming years.
So looking at our business model, the average repurposed battery value is about $1.05, and subtracting logistics and disassembly costs, we can estimate around a 40-cent profit per battery. This equates to a $4 billion global market and a $500,000 market in Austin alone yearly. So what our next steps and what we would use the funding for is to create local jobs for employment and operations of our central facility, and work with manufacturers here to specialize our bin production. We also want to work with local Austin retailers to onboard them onto our recycling process and contract sales out together. We're trying to make lithium-ion batteries a circular economy, so let's close the loop with Dispose. Thank you, and we're ready for questions.
So, and how about the actual mechanics of taking apart these? I don't really know how
Sure.
they work very well.
Sure.
But how much time does it take, and how much energy does it take to take them apart and get to the part that you can actually make profit on?
Sure. So the ones that we see the most are these right here, and at the end of them there's a little cap, and with a pair of pliers you can take one apart in maybe 15 to 20 seconds. Really, they're really simply made.
And then do you have buyers for those used up batteries?
We have potential buyers. We know that we want to sell to companies that can take advantage of these tax credits, but we've also looked into small electronics manufacturers and companies like Panasonic that produce batteries and battery materials.
Yeah, specifically, we see a lot of these kind of batteries within flashlights, within drones, and obviously within e-cigarettes themselves. So there are a couple manufacturers here locally in Austin that also use these batteries, and those are who we've been talking to about potentially buying.
That's okay. Okay, so what happens if you can't resell the batteries? What's the unintended consequences of that?
So we've been donating the ones that we have right now. We don't have a buyer right now. We've been donating them to the battery research group at UT Austin. But we also, if we have a high enough quantity before we can make sales, we would donate them to companies like these who are focusing on developing technology for the recycling process. It's called hydrometallurgy, so that these materials don't go to waste and don't go to landfill and end up back in our supply chains.
And what about the containers that the batteries come in? What are you going to do with those?
Yeah, so it's metal or plastic. We would recycle them traditionally. We actually played with the idea of using those materials to build our bins, and but yeah, traditional recycling.
Yeah, the design of our supply chain right now is made to be zero waste, using every single part of the battery, or with a lot of these devices, parts of it are deemed as toxic waste and so we have to dispose of those responsibly as well.
Can you talk to me? I'm still unclear at like what your next inflection point is. So is it producing the Gen 3 prototype, or like what is the goal?
So yeah, our first thing would definitely be expanding to different retailers to host our recycling processes, and that would entail creating new bins for them to use in the first place.
Got it.
So that's what we would do next.
So in our first test in a week, we were able to collect 120 of them at one store. So if we were able to get more stores, we could get our numbers up.
Is that store currently paying you for the materials they?
No, their value is generated from getting return customers by offering that store credit. That's the model we want to push.
So initially you're going to use the funding for production of the bins, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea of how much that's going to cost?
They cost us about, the ones that we have right now cost us about $40 to produce. We think that we can get it down by ordering in high quantities. But also, other ways we're going to use the funding is to pay employees so that we can go pick them up reliably and disassemble them reliably.
And are they manufactured locally?
They can be. We found a company that manufactures bins called Leak-Tite. So.
Awesome.
Did you say you're able to take drone batteries and other things besides these vape pen things, or?
So currently, why we are focusing on this niche in the first place is due to the fact that we see these being thrown away by the millions every single week. So these batteries are also used in drones and flashlights as well. And another step in our process would definitely be collecting different types of batteries as well. But this is exactly the niche that is being completely neglected right now, so that's why we're focusing on this.
In terms of battery capacity, each one of these batteries is equal to about 1/3 of an iPhone and like 1/2,000 to 3,000th of a Tesla Model X.
Okay. Is there any risk that the vape pen industry, does it gets regulated differently, or all of a sudden this model goes away? Do you have how do you keep going?
That could happen, but they all are focused on the lithium-ion battery. So we are ready to adapt. And the ones we've collected a very large variety of different models, and we've been able to take them apart and find that they're all manufactured very similarly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke and Anish and Dispose. Thank you, judges. All right, you all, I am so loving these. And next we have Pyrocycling, which will be pitched by Chris Schulderman and R.D. Childers.
Hi, guys. Pyrocycling is a technology company, and right now we're focusing on the regeneration and nutrient recovery systems for the burgeoning space industry, and also situations in Earth that need a lot of handling. Our mission is to use appropriate technology to cope with humanity's carbon crisis, meaning we you shift the atmospheric carbon into the technosphere and also into the soil systems. The pyrocycling system, pyrocycling is actually based on partially on microwave vacuum pyrolysis, so we can do a lot of transformation of the carbon in that. And as part of this being in the space industry, we have to consider circularization. And what I have spent some time in, there are quite a few levels of circularization when you look at how matter and mass and energy flows through systems. And I have an appendix that calls that. It would just take more than this discussion to go through the 8 stages. And so as part of our requirement, we had to identify an application for one of the products that we were going to circularize, which was the deep eddy Vaca filters. And I adapted a design to fit a metal air battery which can be used for emergency power systems. And it can be run and constructed off of in situ materials, which means they're just around. They're part of the environment technical environment we live in. And these cells can be added up to reach a voltage suitable for USB. And when they're at USB, you can start running a household. And I've been experimenting with this for a couple of years in a tiny house. And it is effective. I mean, some of the technology is not quite there to live off all the time, but I've existed this summer with no AC and just USB fans. Maybe I'm tough. But USB can transmit a lot of power now, and you could move it throughout a little room, and to cook with, to run fans, entertainment and such, and you can pull the power off a variety of systems in addition to metal. But the metal is a great means of storing energy. And we are charged to find a role for another disadvantaged group, and I worked with the autistic because, well, I am autistic, and I've been also plugging a way to get autisms to support themselves. And we can do self-employment with 3D printing, additive manufacturing, because one of the byproducts of the battery configurations is an aluminum ceramic, which can be used in a printing process. But once you start doing printing, you can use anything that's being currently made. And in fact, there is an educational program in Texas that will help these individuals gain skills to be self-employed. And then, since we're devising this technology for space applications, and it's really demanding, and you have to account for the energy and expenses, that actually can translate into something that's valuable on Earth for people that are in constrained infrastructure. So and this is more than just electricity. It can be dry toilets, it can be food preparation, it could be waste stream conversion, biochar production. So it's a technology set. And so we intend to at least start off by financing ourselves with professional services. And once we get up and running, we intend to participate in the new burgeoning $1 trillion space industry. And we would be running a lot, helping the companies take care of their waste. You know, if they send 4 people to space for 3 years, there's going to be 24,000 pounds of excrement and waste. Well, that's actually a resource if you know how to convert it. And it can be great for plants.
We're going to convert to questions.
All right, go ahead. I figured I would run out of time because I just know too much.
I'm really excited to jump in with a question again about money. Have you all considered the last NSF SBIR STTN cycle?
Not at this time. But basically, we want to get our business going and have some demonstration technology first. Then I would be able to go for a program like that.
Oh, that program will write a grant to a startup without revenue, any substantial revenue. I'm happy to talk to you about it after the fact. I think this would be an excellent candidate.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be open to that.
We know you got questions.
Is that what I'm known as now? The girl with the questions? Okay, it's fine. There are worse things. First of all, I love I've never heard of anyone pitch a concept for space. So yeah, excited about that. I was wondering if you could give me if you had to describe it in one sentence, what is the product?
The process is reclamation, entire, complete reclamation, including astronauts.
He did it.
That's not all of it.
And I don't think we got to what you were going to use the funding for. I figure that was on the next slide, maybe.
Well, this is how we're looking to do our marketing. Basically, we're going to treat carbon as a workhorse. It's so that we can preserve the investment in capturing it. And we would mostly use agricultural processes because they're easily adaptable and they're present already.
So the initial funding would be used for?
Initial funding, I guess that'd be the prize award. I need to get a silicon 3D printer to build the component that can do things like print a 3D pipeline out of carbon.
Any other questions, judges?
What do you see as, thank you for your presentation. What do you see as your biggest challenge?
There's an element of adoption, and also there's a lot of material science that has to go into this. Like when you're dealing with a carbon system that you're preparing for long duration, how much energy has to go into processing it for it to last, say, 100 years, 1,000 years? Because carbon is pretty permanent once you fuse it. And so planning how to prepare it is still kind of one of the big questions that we have to figure out. And it's going to be just experimental that we figure out how much it takes.
Good? All right, my mind is still blown by the whole lack of AC usage.
Yeah.
Of what?
You're not using the AC in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Pyrocycling and Chris and RD. I think that if I went the summer without AC on, I might have to go into hibernation. And so it's good that our next contestant is going to be called Sleep Never. So welcome, everyone, Aaron Torres up to the stage. Aaron, your hands are full. Where do you want these things?
Oh, yes, we love
This is going to manifest into an auction prize. Who's interested?
Hi, first off, this is amazing. Thank you everyone for giving your time and your energy here. To be in a room with so many like-minded people that care about the circular economy and the environment is incredibly inspiring. So thank you all. My name is Aaron Torres. I am the CEO, head designer, head tailor, and 24/7 intern of Sleep Never. I'm sure a lot of my fellow competitors could understand that. What I do is I alchemize potential landfill waste into brand new clothing. I'm sure it's no surprise that the fashion industry is incredibly flawed and incredibly wasteful. In fact, it is the second most wasteful industry on the planet, next to petro, which actually 60% of all new clothing is made out of petro and plastic. Every year, 100 billion new garments are made. 92 million tons of that end up as waste, which means that over 87% ends up in a landfill, which is where me and my company come in. What I am is a DTC made-to-order slow fashion brand. I have chosen this model to eliminate overproduction. Every garment is used utilizing textiles that I source from either rag factories or thrift wholesalers like the Goodwill bins, if any of you have been there. It's an amazing hub, yes. Austin Creative Reuse, shout out to if you're in the house. Every order is made to order based on the customer's measurements. So instead of using alpha sizing, which is completely unreliable, I'm sure many of you have experienced, I use my customer's measurements to take that, which adding to the slow element of my brand intentionally causes the customer to have a little bit more intention in their order because it does require you to put the thought into taking your measurements. And because of that, I'm very proud to say that I've, to this day, never had a return on any of my garments because I have secured a 100% customer satisfaction and retention. And I'm very proud of that. And with that, though each garment is custom made, my block patterns, which I make myself, are a consistent shape and style. So on my website, I have the designs and the cuts, and then I have the different textiles that I've accumulated, and I guarantee that the fit will fit the customer to their satisfaction. And I work alongside the customer to make sure that we both achieve that goal, because my happy customer is me being happy. In terms of the circularity of my company, I basically give fabrics that would otherwise end up in a landfill a second life. I choose to use the raw material over simply using pre-existing garments because there's already a space for that in thrift stores. In terms of using the money, I basically at this point need to invest in payroll and manufacturing costs. I'm a one-man band at this point, and so in order to take my business to the next viable level, I would absolutely love to employ different entrepreneurs that have the artisanal skill sets and desires to be clothing designers and clothes makers. And there is a market for the slow fashion and sustainable space. Right now, it is one of the fastest growing markets in the fashion industry because, as I'm sure all of you feel, we are tired of fast fashion. So, yes, thank you. If any of you have any questions, just so you all know that piece of linen right there is actually the suit that I'm wearing right now. So. Yeah, and that is at the Goodwill bins down south off of Burleson. Thank you. Questions?
How do people find out about you?
Great question. So I use my social media following. I do a lot of fashion shows. I've hosted many workshops. I've collaborated with the El Paso Museum of Art, which is my home city. And so I've kind of started a following there and by doing shows here. But really social media and word of mouth. Like I said, I have a great customer retention rate. So word of mouth has been my best friend in that regard.
2 questions. One is the price point. Is this meant to be really custom, high-end kind of thing, or is it where are you falling in the customer price range first?
Yeah, great question. So I think fast fashion is grossly undercharged, and because of that, it devalues the quality and the worth of clothing. No garment should cost less than $10 because that just means that somebody's being exploited. So, for example, I am a little bit more expensive than your typical clothing, but how I counteract that to my customers is I offer a lifetime guarantee. So people could send me clothing that needs repairs, and I will do that. I offer lifetime alterations as well. And as my company grows beyond just me, I want to keep that as an incentive to customers to shop with me.
That's great. I love your work. It's beautiful. Talk to me about scale. Like, so how many pounds of material it goes into your line in a given year, and what does success look like in the long run?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. I meant to get to that. So to my calculations, I established in 2015. Before that, I've been a tailor and a designer for 17 years, and I took the leap of faith to start my own line because I just could not, my morals and my values didn't align with the fashion industry, so I figured if I build it, they will come, and I could be an act of protest against the fashion industry. But every year I've averaged about 200 pounds at least of clothing that I've kept from landfills, so about 1,500 pounds to date, give or take. The future is I would love to continue being a self-manufacturing company, because with the emissions that even ethically manufactured clothing takes, it kind of counteracts the ethical part of it. So if we can have a slow manufacturing company here in Austin, which I'm actually a current recipient of the Austin Fashion Incubator, so I have access to a micro factory which I work out of. I could employ people, teach people skills, give people a skill set that quite honestly applies to just life. Sewing is an amazing skill set to learn. And employ people with the living wage and offset the costs that I currently have right now. So I think that as I'm able to scale production, then price would be able to go down, and I'll be able to be a more viable brand. Right now I feel like I'm a successful artist and that I could pay my bills and my rent with my craft and my talent, but I would love to be a successful company.
Love it. Okay, so I have a two-parter again, because this is what I do.
I love it.
They're unrelated. My first one is around inclusive sizing, and how do you handle that based on how you get your materials? And then my second one is, how are the discards from your patterning actually recycled or reused?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So part of why I design based on my customers' measurements is because inclusivity is completely important to me. That's why I started designing. Being a very short male, I basically could not ever find clothing that fit me. So also being obsessed with thrifting from a young age, I basically started buying thrift clothes and kind of Frankensteining them together to make clothing that fit me. And that's actually how I got my first professional design opportunity with Urban Outfitters when I was 18. And so I design for everybody, every body type, every gender identity. I love making people feel good about the clothing that they're wearing. In terms of how I minimize waste, I'm very proud in how I not only cut my fabric, since everything is very monitored by me. My motto is I use the whole hide. So the scraps that I have, I patchwork them together and create its own subset of line called scraps. And as I further develop things, I would love to use, I'm trying to find a company that could help me mill down the tiny scraps that I can't sew together into making polyfill, so that I could make household goods like pillows and, yeah, exactly. So if I could be, the goal is to, which further goes into the goal, is to be 100% waste-free. And I think it's possible, and if I had to estimate, I'm probably 85% waste-free right now, which is, I'm proud of, because I don't think many companies can claim that. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Sleep Never and Aaron. Woo! All right, next we have The Conscious Pet, and we have Mason Arnold. More? Oh my, I don't think we're gonna eat these though.
No, but you can feed them to your furry friends. All right, well, the Conscious Pet is at the intersection of pet food and food waste. We come from a background of human food and sustainability, and when we got our first puppy a year ago, we realized that the pet food industry had some major challenges. We were hanging out with some friends talking about the food waste industry and the huge challenges that they have, and a light bulb came on. We thought, how could we divert high-quality human food that's going to waste and turn it into nutritious pet food? Did a ton of research, it's incredibly hard science, and did some experimentation, and we figured out this low temperature dehydration process that can create this food out of food waste. See, if you put all of our fur babies together just in the US, they still make the 6th largest polluting country in the world. And it has a lot to do with what they eat. Now, on the human food side, we in the US waste a higher percentage of our food than any other country in the world. It all goes to landfills. It's the largest stream in landfills. It's the most important thing to divert from it. And it should be easy to divert, but we just don't have the infrastructure to do it. These are really big problems to solve, and our process is a big piece of the puzzle. We create a shelf-stable, high-quality powder from a diverse set of inputs that can be created into any kind of form factor and is flexible in how and when we recover it. So right now we're doing dog food, toppers, and treats in compostable packaging. We're a zero waste company. And what are we doing with obviously our dog's going crazy for it. We collect 95% of our ingredients locally, and we sell direct to consumers and in retails like Tomlinson's. And it's just the beginning. We already know we can create a whole slew of pet products from this stream. And we even see some certifications we could get and maybe create some human food and expand access to nutrition across communities. And of course, we're getting some rave reviews already from our customers. It's not just a cool product. Intercepting waste in the community, keeping it in the community processing and back in the economy as high quality nutrition with buffering and the ability to use it when we need it, I think is helping one of the largest challenges to a circular economy. And it requires a lot of coordination. There's a lot of work that goes into it, from low-skill labor that anyone in the community can do, to food science and food system work that we need our greatest minds working on. We launched last July, and we also did a $175,000 community round with WeFunder last November. We created our own production and packaging systems, and we are just about break even with very modest revenues. The future is bright. We have a ton of potential growth in the works, and this can be replicated in anywhere where there's waste. And with 210 billion pounds being wasted annually, there's lots of product. We are moving facilities right now, so we can desperately use the money to help get into a new facility. We could also do new machinery to increase efficiency or create new products. I have a history of creating products and companies, and I've never been more passionate about an idea. And Jessica has won every sales meeting that she's ever gone into, and our challenges right now are really just operational and then creating some more demand. We hope to get your vote to continue to create our process and help this major challenge of the circular economy. Thank you.
You sure you want to let me go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, great. I think this is
Two-part question.
Who would I be if I didn't have a two-parter? Okay, so my first one is, I saw that you mentioned private label. Is that for scalability?
Yes, absolutely.
And then what is the missing component to go into human-grade food?
It's really about chain of custody of the food and then food safety and regulations. There are some regulations that make it tricky depending on where the product comes from and how we recover it. And then also, working with local supply chain and restaurants, it can be tricky to get them to segregate and maintain temperature control on some things. We do have larger distributors and supply chain customers that are vendors that would be really easy to create human food with those, but they end up with a more diverse product stream, so harder to create consistent products.
So we're thinking maybe 3 to 5 years away from something like that?
Oh, I'd say 1 to 2.
Ah, even better. Okay, great.
I'm from human food industry and know, produce, high regulated industries.
What kinds of folks, I assume you can't name names, but what kinds of folks are you using to source these ingredients from? Like, what are the leftovers that you're using?
Yeah, interestingly, some people don't want others to know what they're throwing away, but some do. Like, we partnered with Juiceland, who creates vegetable scraps, and we actually created a treat that they sell in their store, co-branded with them. And so the consistent streams are large restaurant groups that are making massive quantities of a few things, and those create the really consistent animal products and different things that we need.
Can you say more about the job creation and I love the partnerships you've got. Say more about where you're going with that growth of that.
Yeah, I've always been an operator, and I built a facility out here on 183, 60,000 square foot facility. We employed up to 350 people making pasta out of fresh vegetables, and 40% of our workforce was actually refugees and second chance employees. And so I'm passionate about that and about helping the community and being a part of the community. And this is going to be as labor intensive as that. And the only reason, I get into these industries is because I think I know how to make it profitable, even with a large labor component.
Thanks. Can you talk about price point and how they compare to other dog treats?
Yeah, so we are comparable to the dehydrated and often the freeze-dried markets, and we are about 30% cheaper than other dehydrated products and half the cost of freeze-dry. So it is tough because some people are like, are you selling us trash? So we require a lower price point, but this is a higher quality product with the fat profile fully intact and amino acid profile intact. So it's higher quality nutrition than any kibble or anything out there.
What's your biggest headwind right now?
It really, it comes down to the operations, and it is a diverse input stream. And so learning the vagaries of all the different input streams and making sure that as we create larger batches, we're able to, kind of unify the components of it in the nutrition. And we test all the batches for macros, and sometimes they're way off and we have to mix them. So the science can get hard, but it gets solved as we scale. Wonderful.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Oh my gosh. So what you didn't learn about me in my intro is that I am a sucker for wordplay. So thank you very much for that. All right. Next up, we have Diaper Kind, and I'm excited to welcome Nina Lassam.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's really, really exciting. This is such a great group of people, and everyone has such like-minded interests. It's awesome. So my name is Nina, and I run a business called Diaper Kind. And I'm sure most people in this room are very familiar with the waste from single-use products like plastic bags and straws and plastic water bottles. But what you might be less familiar with, especially if you're not a parent, is the waste that's produced from single-use diapers. And when you have a kid at home, that is accounting for 50% of the waste that your family is putting out. And it accounts for 30% of the garbage in Austin's landfills comes from single-use diapers. And these are diapers that we've been putting there since the 1980s, and they are going to last millions of years. We're talking tens of billions of diapers in this country being put into landfills to disintegrate millions of years later. So it's a really alarming problem that we're just, the way that straws and plastic water bottles have been spoken about, we really haven't addressed with single-use plastic diapers. So the solution for single use is always reuse, right? That's the better solution, but it has to be easy for parents. I am a parent, I'm sure there are other parents in this room, it has to be easy for parents. So DiaperKind has been in business for almost 15 years, and we are the solution for that. What we do is deliver freshly laundered cloth diapers to someone's door, and we pick up the dirty ones, and we do that week after week. And we take care of all of the size changes, all of the samples that they may want, any double layers that they may want, and any bags. So it really is a self-contained circular economy. There we go. This is a PC, so I'm a little lost with the PC clicker here. So a lot of people think that single-use diapers cloth diapers are gross, but that really is just marketing. The thing that makes cloth diapers difficult is the laundry, but that is what DiaperKind does for you. And we wash them all, we check them all for stains, we repackage them and deliver them to doors. We also pH test every single load of laundry that we do to make sure that there's really low acidity, which is really, really important when you're operating a commercial laundry facility. So what are some of the challenges that a cloth diaper service faces? Well, it really is marketing. It goes back to marketing. People thinking that cloth diapers are gross, but they're not. And I think anyone, again, who's a parent in here, you gotta do diapers, right? It takes a couple of years, it sucks. And my feeling has always been, why not do it the most sustainable way possible? From a price point, our diapers are about 35 cents a diaper, which puts us on par with any of the premium brands. So like Honest, Coterie, Nature, Diaper with a Y. That includes the use of the diapers, the laundry, and the weekly delivery. If you ask a store that sells cloth diapers, you ask them, what is the most popular cloth diaper that you sell? They will tell you it's the newborn diaper. And that's because so many families start cloth diapering with the best of intentions, but then the laundry just really builds up and they're not able to keep up with it. But our customers keep with us, 90% of them keep with us all the way to potty training, which means our customers are with us for 26 months on average. And 100% of them come back for their second kid if they have a second kid. So we have great customer retention and a great long life cycle with all of our customers. So we were founded in Brooklyn in 2009, that's where I live. We had a bit of a COVID drop, like a lot of businesses based in cities, so we expanded to New Jersey and we expanded to Southern Long Island. And my vision for DiaperKind is to make this a franchise that can exist at cities across the Eastern Seaboard. Every single major city has eco-friendly commercial laundry facilities. And that's the infrastructure for cloth diaper services. That's all you need. They probably have e-vans. They have very, very good commercial laundry machines, and they have suppliers of really good detergents that you can use for cloth diaper services. And so this is a franchise opportunity that I believe we can bring across the country. And Austin is our first place that we're trying this out. So it's really, really important to me to be invested in this community and trying to grow awareness of cloth diaper services as a solution to a huge waste problem that we're just not talking about. Got your sign? Yeah, we're good? We're good. All right. So what can I answer for these judges?
Thank you for your presentation. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Why Austin? What about our community?
Yeah, because you didn't have one. So the West Coast has a lot of cloth diaper services that have been in place, and Austin didn't have one, which I found incredibly surprising. The population growth here has been insane. There's a lot of young families, and you're very, very environmentally conscious. And I really love this city. I'd spent a lot of time here, so I thought it would be a good place to start.
Okay, so you mentioned very emphatically the marketing problem around cloth diapers.
Yeah.
What is the plan to change the conversation? Of course, that's the first part of my question. The second one, totally unrelated.
All right, so do your first one first?
That was the first one.
Okay.
The second one is, what is the concept behind the model? Are you hiring people W-2 wage, or is this more of a self-employment contract gig worker?
Yeah, so I do not support the gig economy. This is W-2 employees. In our office in Brooklyn, we employ about 50 people. We're partnering with a local eco-friendly cleaner here, so they are employing all of their staff, but it's all W-2 employees, not gig employees. And what I'd really like to use the funding for, and to really, the grant would be so helpful, is marketing. I think people are looking up things like organic diapers and EWG certified diapers, and there's so much information and so much greenwashing, and there's a real opportunity through SEO and more education to let people know that there is a really great way to sustainably diaper with a diaper that only has one ingredient. There's no chemicals, it's just cotton. No, it's a great question. I think the message that most people hear is that they don't have to do laundry. So a lot of people, especially in Austin and in New York, we have a lot of people who are expats where cloth diapering and cloth diapering services are a lot more common. And so there's a lot of interest in cloth diapering, but not a lot of interest in doing all the extra laundry. And so no laundry has been our loudest message.
Yeah, I'm curious about your experience with channel partners. Like, what in the New York area have you been able to use, like in boutique stores or like birthing groups or doulas? Like, what have you used to reach the market where it already is?
So that's been really successful in Austin so far. There's a really amazing community of doulas and birth workers, and so people who are in that space are really aware of some of the toxic chemicals that are in single-use diapers. And we actually get a lot of customers, and have had in Austin a lot of customers, people not coming to us for sustainability reasons, but because their kids are having so many rashes, and their pediatricians are actually recommending that they use cloth diapers. And so working with pediatricians, with midwives, and with doula groups, absolutely, is really important.
So I love what you're doing. But obviously, the water component is going to be the big environmental impact of washing these, and water is a big issue here in Central Texas.
Yeah.
So can you say more about like how much it takes to, relative to making plastic diapers, washing these and reusing them?
No, that's such a good question, and I think I will be disputing this study until I die. So in the 1980s, Procter & Gamble commissioned a study that spoke about water use in single-use versus cloth diapers or reusable diapers. And so any study that is put out by a major corporation producing single-use items, I think we should all take with a grain of salt. But we should also think about the time that study was produced, because I think of, a top-loading washing machine, something you might be using at home, the kind that takes an hour, it has no setting. They were not HE, they're not high-efficiency machines. But those don't even light a candle to what we have in a commercial facility, which are designed to save businesses money. They are incredibly, incredibly water efficient. And so a family that uses about 90 diapers a week, which is what the average, 3-month-old uses, they will have about 3 toilet flushes a day worth of water when they're using our cloth diaper service.
Okay, yes. Apologies if you mentioned this already, but where are you right now in the market in Austin, and how does this move you forward?
So we just started. So we started we just had 10 families do a free trial with us for 6 weeks just to kind of get our feet wet, and then we just launched at the beginning of the summer. So we're brand new
So
here.
you already have a franchise set up here in Austin?
Yeah,
or
it's
you're
not a
trying to find
franchise here, it's a satellite here, so we actually own the business here because this is a proof of concept for us to bring to other cities.
Gotcha.
All right. Yeah, good. All right.
Thank you, Diaper Kind. All right, this is really fun having it up tall. I feel like I'm going to karaoke here, but I'm going to save you all and not. But instead, I'm going to introduce our last pitch for the evening. Thrilled to have Heartening come on up here, and Kelly Roletsky. You could take it off there.
Palatable is making attainable and sustainable furniture for Texas patios. This is a product line by Heartening, which is on a mission to rescue items for reuse in the local community. In a nutshell, by making 1,500 outdoor sofas annually, Palatable can save 130 tons from our Austin landfill every single year. And that's because Palatable furniture is made from locally rescued wooden pallets and recycled textiles. We're seeing this as a 3-dimensional problem. The first one is a human pain point. As Austin residents, we're all facing rising housing prices, and our customer interviews show people are increasingly looking for bargains on home furnishings. However, the price of couches has increased by 34% since 2019, so furniture costs are on the rise. Pallet furniture is an extremely affordable option, but pallets are actually very difficult to acquire, transport, and work with. On the flip side, you have 2 environmental problems happening locally here. The first is the pallet problem. One company in Austin is sending 126 tons of pallets to the landfill every single year. That's 7,200 wooden pallets that are perfectly good. The problem is they are oddly shaped. These are elongated, so they're not good to sell on the industrial market like the typical 4x4 American pallets. The cushion problem is that polyester fiber fill, which is the stuffing in cushions, lasts far longer than most of the fabric covering it. So as a result, many cushions, particularly outdoor cushions in these Texas summers, look awful, but they have perfectly good fiber fill inside. So they're getting thrown away, or they get donated to Heartening. So we're seeing 50 to 80 or more cushions donated that are stained, sun-bleached, and squirrel-chewed, but they have perfectly good fiber fill inside. Additionally, we found a local Austin textile recycler who has hundreds of pounds of polyester fiber fill. They can't wait to unload with us. So we have to solve for circularity with this problem, and beginning in this, started an investigation into the unique pallets that were being produced by Builders FirstSource. In our prototyping, we discovered these happen to be the exact same length and width as a typical 3-seater sofa. So we could assemble 4 of them without any sawing and only basic hardware to create a sturdy and perfectly sized sofa frame. Then we pair that with a cushion rescue program. After prototyping 4 different materials for cushions, we actually went into researching polyester fiber fill and just extending the life of it. So we're deciding to launch a cushion rescue program. This keeps polyester fiber fill in use. So we will rescue used polyester fiber fill from worn out cushions and cover it with best-in-class Sunbrella Renaissance fabric. This is the new line that has 50% post-industrial recycled fiber. And then when those cushions are worn out, people can bring them back to our cushion rescue program. Worn out textile can go to our textile recycling partner. We even use the spare boards from broken pallets to create a modern finished look on the front of our sofas. And all of this retails at an extremely affordable price point. Some highlights of our business is that we offer easy to assemble DIY pallet furniture kits. Our strategy just begins with sofas, and it can expand into so many other areas that were requested in our customer interviews. This creates 2 full-time jobs. And these are paid $28 an hour, which is a very livable wage in Austin. Our economic development is with those 2 partners I mentioned, Builders FirstSource producing the pallets, and Josco, which is the local textile recycler. The Austin outdoor furniture market, we're comping off of and extrapolating from data on the US furniture market is about $159 million. Our channel strategy is advertising on local marketplaces, Facebook, Nextdoor, Craigslist, and promoting through Heartening's channels. Our pricing strategy is penetrative pricing, so we want to be the cheapest sofa frame on the market. And we're doing cost plus pricing on our cushions because they are with best-in-class materials. And this is our financials. We're projecting $100K in revenue. This takes into account a very intense ramp up to being able to operate at a steady state, rescuing 600 pallets and $15,000 in net operating income each year, or each month, excuse me. I'll take questions now.
Very cool on many levels. I guess my question is just looking at these sort of like quick assembly type things. I mean, pallets are often sort of splintery and not so great. Like, what do you do to treat them to make them furniture worthy that you want to put your kids on and all that?
Yeah, so these are untreated, so they're actually not treated with any chemicals. This is spruce and pine, which makes them better than a lot of pallets that you pick up off the street, which are often chemical treated. These just get a quick sanding, actually, and they're smooth enough. We're covering any area that you're really touching with the cushions. And we're not expecting every single sofa to sell with our cushions, so our sofas are actually perfectly sized to accept many standard market cushions at the same depth and width. So you can fit 3 standard cushions on the bottom and cushions along the back. So we also finish that front with these kind of facing boards that take the smaller scraps, and that covers any rough edges. So you have a really clean, just vertical look on that wood.
You'd mentioned using the best-in-class material for the cushions to extend those lives. What kind of research have you done into the pallet wood to see how it sustains with the elements, making the wind, rain?
Yes, so we've actually talked with our partner who's left them outside their facility for years, and we went and inspected those pallets, and they all have the same structural integrity. They do color over time, and I've had our prototype sofa outside for the last 4 months, and it has not discolored yet. So we know we can at least wear one summer in a very unrelenting Texas sun. But we do expect these sofas, we're targeting the frames to be 2 years. And past that, you can, cut them apart. They can be composted. We're only going to use eco-friendly coatings, so milk-based paint and linseed oil. Any other questions?
Hi. We all know what's about to happen. 2 questions. The first one is, where's the capture happening for the pallets? And then I'm very curious about the price point and the high wage and how you actually were able to achieve being at the lower price point, but also being able to offer high wages.
Right. So the first one, Builders First Source. So they are doing millwork for doors. And so a lot of these pallets are actually being kind of set in between as they transport doors from their millwork facility. So these are very oddly shaped, and they just pile up outside of their facility, kind of Pflugerville area. So we're able to go and transport in giant loads, like 200 pallets at a time out of that. When it comes to the price point, our price point, we have 2 different pricing strategies. It's penetrative pricing on the sofa frames, but it's cost plus pricing on our cushions. So our cushions are at a much higher price point because they are using that extra work to rescue the cushions and best-in-class materials. So the sofa frames, we chose penetrative pricing because we do want to move as many of these pallets out of the landfill, get them into homes, get them into use, get them recirculating. We would rather keep seeing the same sofas come back and create new cushions for them than having to put more pallets out there. But we have kind of a straddled pricing strategy, and one of the challenges we do face is that our sofa frames have about an 80% gross margin, but our cushions are only at about 30%. So we're still pricing those cushions kind of lower than they should be, and we're gonna be looking to do maybe fancier or more designer, more appealing, more modern cushions to kind of bring that price point on the cushions up. So really, the pallet worker is subsidizing the cushion worker right now, is the short answer. Is that everything? 1 minute left on questions.
Who are you employing, and what kind of job development are you doing?
Yes, so we're going to be looking at a cushion rescue and upholstery specialist, so somebody who is working on sewing the cushions, designing the cushions, and a pallet woodworker and transporter. So those are pretty basic entry-level skills, and something that Heartening works with a lot is local charities. One of those is Casa Marianella, and so there's refugee labor there that is already learning some of those skills on site, and we would be really interested in pulling those in for some jobs. Ideally 2 full-time, but we could create a more rotational program if that's more advantageous for them. Also, Heartening and that business might help in selling these pallets, so we're going to be able to leverage and support some of those jobs through that. But that doesn't count towards the 2 full-time that we have in our financial model for Palatable.
I was just going to ask to clarify that you had that graph in terms of months. Where are you all right now?
Yeah, so we're in the reverse accelerator program. So we did a lot of investigation and prototyping. We did over a dozen prototypes, so we have not hit production. We just have a wait list. We did our customer interviews, and we're actually ready to kind of change a little bit of our sofa design to the second photo I showed, and then we're ready to scale up. So we're ready to take our first large shipment of pallets right now. We just kind of have all the prep work and the planning and the design done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Heartening. All right. Oh, name tag down. All right, y'all. Wow. Okay, I am so glad I am not a judge right now. Just wow. All right, let's give a big round of applause to all of the participants. So what we're going to do now is a few staff and volunteers are going to take all the judges' results, and we're going to do some tallying. And while we do that, Maddie Morgan from the City of Austin is going to come back up on stage and share some additional things with you while we go do some number crunching. So we're going to let the judges finish their writing and scribbling right now from Heartening, and then we'll grab their papers and head up. And here's Maddie.
How about one more round of applause for those awesome competitors? Yeah, very impressive. some really neat and innovative companies that are here in Austin, and yeah, we'll know the results here in a few minutes. There still is food over here if you are hungry. We don't want to have any food waste. Oh. There also are bathrooms in the back if you need to use the restroom. I wonder, okay, so just a few things about our program, and then there will be time left over for you guys to mix and mingle. But as I mentioned earlier, I manage our circular economy program at the City of Austin, which is a partnership between Austin Resource Recovery and the Economic Development Department. And we have three main pillars. This one falls under our catalyzing business innovation, and I will introduce one of our newest team members here in a moment, who will tell you a little bit more about the program and how we support entrepreneurs and small businesses in this space. One of our other pillars is encouraging behavior change. So some of the programs that you see come out of the work we do are geared towards residents to support behaviors like reuse and buying upcycled and repair and using rental services. And we have a number of programs that fall under that. And then we're also doing work internally at the City of Austin to look at how we can incorporate and use local circular economy businesses and practices within the City of Austin's operations. So really all that work we do goes back to this business support element, which is why we're here tonight. I mentioned this briefly earlier, and we had two wonderful pitches tonight, Pyrocycling and Heartening, that came out of the reverse pitch competition. And we will be gearing up for this later this year, early next year, but it's a competition with, again, prize money involved, where entrepreneurs or existing businesses can select from 5 or so waste products coming out of local businesses and try and create a new social business venture or a new vertical of their existing business. And now I'm going to hand it over and introduce our newest colleague, Megan Doherty, and she's going to mention a couple of the services that we offer as the Circular Economy Program for businesses like y'all.
Hey. Thanks, y'all. So my name's Megan Doherty, and I'm super new to the city, working for the city. I've been here for about 2 months. I'm originally from Austin. I have an entrepreneurial background and did some circular practices in that. So my job is specifically to work with businesses in the circular space. So I'm a liaison between the Economic Development Department and the Austin Resource Recovery Department. So that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm housed. And right now the work that I'm here to do is help connect you to resources and help support you finding community within the city of Austin and the circular businesses. But in the future, we of course want to bring more businesses into adopting circular practices. So as we look forward, that's something that's in the future. And based on our engagements and based on the meetings that we have, that information is filtered through the city to be able to create new policies, incentives, understand what are the needs in this space, where are we lacking, and that's where programs such as this event come out of that kind of feedback that I get. So I appreciate all the time with people that connect with me, and I'd like to connect with everyone, and it's just been super impressive to see all of these pitches tonight. I think it's really inspiring and motivating. It's also daunting to see such brilliant people, just whoa, mind-blowing. So everybody's been such a diverse group, and really this is such a pioneering moment for circular businesses right now. It's wow, this is all so new. And at the same time, we think, we hope to look in 20 years and look back and think, oh, this is the way we do business now. And so just have to give it up to everybody for coming out here, the businesses and everybody else that's supporting and showing up, because it really is about community, and it really is about working together, and that's that circle, so we can't kind of exist in these silos anymore. And so getting out everybody that's participated is an important part of this puzzle and piece. So look forward to connecting with everyone, and thanks again for being here.
Awesome. So, yeah, we will. They're up there deliberating and calculating the scores, and so you're free to mix and mingle and network while we wait. We'll have the results soon. Testing, testing.
All right, everybody, we're going to announce the winners. So if everybody will find a spot to either sit down or to at least turn and watch quietly from where you're standing. All right, everyone. Thank you all so incredibly much. This has been such a fun night, and I'm not going to delay anymore. I could make small talk and tell you really bad jokes, but, you know. What's that? Great jokes, exactly. We're going to do the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm going to start with the runner-up, and then I will share with you all the big winner for the evening, and we'll come up here, and I'm actually going to ask the primary winner to have a moment to just share a couple of words with you all as well as they come up here. So we're going to get started. So first, I am delighted to introduce to you the runner-up of the Circular Showcase Pitch Competition, who wins a $1,000 prize this evening, is the heartening Kelly. Congratulations, Kelly, congratulations. Your pitch was beautiful and compelling, and we are so excited to see what you do and excited to be able to invest $1,000 in getting things started. But watching what you do is going to be fantastic, so we're really excited. And in a moment after, we're going to take a picture, and we'll have you take a picture with a big check and everything like that too. So we're excited for that. First, we would like to announce the winner of the evening of this year's Circular Showcase Pitch Competition. That's a lot of words. This evening, we are excited to be able to honor with a $12,000 check, and we're going to invite to come on upstage, the Conscious Pet. So, way to go, Mason. So, Mason, we know that we only gave you 4 minutes earlier to share really quickly a pitch, but if you wanted to share anything else right now, just to talk about anything else that's on your mind or what you'd like to share about what you're going to do with the money, we'd love to just hear from you.
Well, I'm just so honored. Thank you so much. This kind of engagement and this kind of event is the main thing that gets me through and why I do what I do, because it is hard, and it's hard to figure out these problems, but we're all in it together, and so we need to figure out these problems, and so it's really exciting to get this vote of support, and thank you so much.
Can we get a quick picture with you while you're up here? I think we've got, out of the light. And we have a very few closing words. We really only needed one of those. The rest are your fans. We're going to reuse that check in a second. It's circular. Let's go with the theme. So let's also, we would like to recognize our judges this evening for their incredible contributions. We have some gifts up here that we're going to give them also in the spirit of circular things. We thought it would be fun to share with them an assortment of the fun things that we have gathered around the Austin Young Chamber office over the years as different fun gifts and gimmies from different events. So we have a very fun grab bag for all of our judges this evening, representing a circular showcase this evening. So each of our judges is going to get a bag with some fun gifts and also a book by Mayor Watson, which who knew that he was also an author? But we have a stack of these, and now we get to share them. So we thought that that would just be a very fun circular themed way of getting to give them all a thank you this evening. So I'll give one of those to everybody. But we really appreciate our judges for stepping up and stepping in this evening and sharing their expertise and brilliance with us. So a big round of applause for them. And before you go this evening, we would love it if you would scan the QR code, give us a couple of quick bits of feedback. You can pull it up on your phone and just share a couple of quick thoughts as you're on your way out. Let us know how you enjoyed the event, how great the event was, how much more you want, how many more, like all this, right? This is good stuff. How great the judges were should be a major line item of what you have to say, right? If you're not a member of Austin Young Chamber, our staff, like Dinah, a number of our board members, like our fantastic treasurer and timekeeper Ashley, a number of others of us are here. We can talk to you about getting involved, signing up. We're at the check-in table as well. So let us know, and we'd love to help you get involved. And unless anybody has any other fantastic things to share about circular economy, life, and the environment. I mean, I just feel like this is a crowd that is rich with information. We're good? All right. Thank you all tremendously, and good night.
And Kelly, if you'll come up here, we'll snap a picture with you too. Thank you, everyone.